Welcome to No Straight Lines.
Probably worth saying that we're married. Mention that. No.
Well, that would help. You didn't say it?
No, I didn't.
Me and Eleanor are married. Can you tell? Are we going to just be ourselves and swear on this?
Yeah. Well, yeah, there will be times when you want to say this has been fucking shit.
And we've been on a fertility journey for 5.5 years.
It's scary when you say it out loud like
Coming up to 5.5 years. We've had 3 miscarriages, 3 rounds of IVF, 4 rounds of something called super ovulation,
that. I've had 4 operations because I've had 2 egg collections.
4 times under general anaesthetic. The emotional weight that brings, the grief,
The financial burden.
it's a lot. The whole reason for this project is to discuss something which we both think is seen as a taboo subject and it shouldn't be,
Exactly.
which is infertility.
It's a very lonely journey.
It's a very lonely journey. They want to go somewhere to just feel that they're not on their own. That's what we want Aloomah to be. Like, you can come here, you can listen, you can share. We just want to have that community built for those people. We have to say this. We're not fucking experts.
No, absolutely
We're
not.
not
We're not doctors.
We're not doctors. We're not giving advice. We're not going to be preaching. This is what we did, so that's what you should have done.
This is just our story. Take from it what you will. I just want to be able to help other people who have been in the same situation as us.
I always knows what to ask next, and I'm like, sometimes I get completely fucking.
He's definitely.
What's your? Are we gonna just be ourselves and swear on this?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
If I
not
say
loads.
shit, fuck, or bugger, is that all right?
Shit, fuck or bugger.
Hello, you're live on Channel 4. Please do not say shit, fuck, or bugger.
No. But I mean, well, yeah, there will be times when you want to say this has been fucking shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
open and honest, babe.
All right, okay. Are we rolling?
We're rolling, yeah.
Right, we're in. Are you going to change now?
No.
Right.
not.
Well, welcome to No Straight Lines. This is a brand new project, first episode, and it probably makes a little bit of sense to explain what it is we're doing for the listeners, because this is the first one.
Definitely.
So, do you want to start, ladies first?
Yeah.
A little bit about who you are.
Yes. So I'm Eleanor, one of the co-founders of Aloomah, which we'll obviously go into. I am from Guildford in Surrey, and I'm 37 years old.
And yeah, we'll keep these nice and short and sweet. My name's Jacky. I am 36. I always remember I'm younger than you.
Yeah.
Fucking awesome. I'm 36, originally from the northeast of England. Now live down south because of you. And again, one of the co-founders of Aloomah. So people who are listening for the first time probably thinking, what the fuck is Aloomah? What are you talking about? So we'll talk a little bit about that. And the podcast name as well. Why is it called No Straight Lines? So me and Eleanor have been on a fertility journey for 5.5 years now.
Probably worth saying that we're married. We didn't
Did we
mention
not say
that. No.
Well, that would help. Well, you didn't say it?
No, I didn't.
Me and Eleanor are married. Can you tell?
Yeah.
So yeah, we've been married for coming up to 7 years now.
Yeah.
And we've been on a fertility journey for 5.5 years.
God, it's scary when you say it out loud like that.
5.5, coming up to 5.5 years.
Yeah.
We have been on what I would describe as a roller coaster of a journey, from starting to try in lockdown, living with your mum when we were going through that whole turbulent time with where we were living.
Good time to start.
Good time to start living with your mother-in-law. Going through almost I was going through a transition of careers and lifestyle and everything. It was crazy. And obviously lockdown was mad for everyone.
Yeah.
But we were living with your mum and went from that, we'll go on to it. But the whole reason for this project is to discuss something which I think we both think is seen as a taboo subject and it shouldn't be.
Exactly.
Which is infertility.
And it's very close to our hearts.
It's very close to our hearts. We're going to go through our whole journey.
Pick it apart bit by bit.
Yeah, because there's so much to it, and we're not going to do all of that in the first episode. We're literally just probably going to just give everyone a brief overview of our journey and why we're doing this.
There's so many layers.
There, yeah, it is like an onion, but we'll peel it back episode by episode. But to start with, I think it's good to set a precedent where we started. The 5 years, what have I got? I've got some notes here just in case I get off track. Because also, when we were coming in on the train today, I was saying to you, if we don't write notes or don't make some bullet points, we're going to get completely off track because it's so in depth.
Yeah.
There's so much that's happened.
We don't want there's bits you don't want to miss.
No.
Because there's some really key information that is obviously what we want to share with people, which is going to be incredibly important, and I don't want to miss it.
100%. So let's go right back. So just to kind of conclude the whole thing, the 5 years, which I just started on before. So 5 years, starting at your mum's 5.5 years ago, we've had, in that time, 3 miscarriages.
Yep.
We've done 3 rounds of IVF.
Yep.
We've done 4 rounds of something called super ovulation.
We have.
You've had 2 operations.
3 rounds of Clomid.
3 rounds of Clomid. You've had 2 operations.
You've had an operation.
I've had an operation.
No, technically I've had 4 operations because I've had 2 egg collections.
Right, well, doesn't that count as the IVF though?
Yeah, so, but I mean 4 times under general anaesthetic and in hospital.
So that does count, yeah. So 4 times under general anaesthetic.
Yeah.
Yeah, the emotional weight that brings, the grief,
the financial burden.
It's a lot. It's also
all consuming.
Yeah, it is, and the impact also on us as a couple.
Yeah,
we've been through this journey for 5.5 years, but we know of people being in this on this journey. We've seen people who've crumbled. The relationships are lost.
Yeah,
because it's very tough on couples. It's very tough on people going through this.
God, it takes you to places that you don't ever want to go to. You'd never wish on your worst enemy. But now looking back on everything, it definitely has shaped us as people. We're different people because of it, better people, and our relationship is stronger than it's ever been. And lucky for us, it has brought us, not that we needed to be closer because we were pretty close anyway, but it has brought us closer together. And I think if we can get through what we've been through, we could get through anything.
I couldn't agree anymore. We were close, but there was also, if you look back at our lives and our lifestyle in March 2020 when we started.
Pre-COVID,
or pre-lockdown, whatever, everything's changed.
Everything changed.
But we have got closer together because we came together as a team. But what I was trying to say also was we've seen people do this exact journey and it just destroys relationships.
Yeah. And I totally get that as well.
Yeah, me too. It's so much strain. And if you're not strong originally, trying to do something like even one cycle of egg collection, IVF, or
it's brutal.
It's brutal. It's like, it's really heavy. And another reason why we're here, coming back again to No Straight Lines, the reason we've called the podcast No Straight Lines, people, it's pretty.
That is what it's like.
Yeah, it's poignant. Like there is no easy way to get to where we're heading, and we should probably mention that after 5.5 years, we are pregnant.
Yeah.
Finally, after a lot of ups and downs.
I got there.
Yeah, we've got there.
Nearly halfway now.
We're 17, 18 weeks now.
Nearly 18 weeks.
And it feels, it's nice to be able to say that, but I also am very aware of people who will be listening who are on that journey. I'm not sat here going, yeah, it's amazing, the whole, gender reveal and stuff. I know
this
everyone...
is also not going to be, this is not a pregnancy podcast.
No.
At all. This is the journey and all different stages of the journey, and talking about everything that we've done to get to where we are. But yeah, you've got to be sensitive to and I think even now, even though it's obviously incredibly exciting, it doesn't always feel real when we say it out loud. And I'm very conscious about who I talk to about it and how I come across, because it is such a sensitive subject. And I know how it feels to be on the other side and how left behind you can feel. So,
but that's the reason for this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we've got 2 parts of this. So the main part, which we are the founders of, is a community called Aloomah. So we saw a gap in society, really, especially where we live in the UK, where people on this journey didn't really have a place, especially as a couple. Me personally,
Definitely as a couple.
completely, yeah. I've seen so many apps go through your phone, whether it's Peanut, whether it's Floor. Come on, there's loads of them.
Yeah, there is.
There's loads of them, but I find there's a lot, and this isn't again, regardless. I find there's a lot of focus on the women.
Yeah.
You know, because you've obviously it's there's going to be a lot of focus on the women because of the cycles and because they're the ones getting pregnant. I completely understand that. But the journey, if you're doing this journey,
It's
it
a
is
team effort.
a team. Or some women are going through egg collection on their own.
Yeah.
There's not
The team can look very different.
the team can look very different, whether it's, you know, same sex, heterosexual, solo, whatever it is. But I found a lot of these apps and a lot of these communities were built around women. And also, I did find that when I was speaking to you or getting feedback from other friends who were going through this, I don't know whether I think you do find the same feedback coming to you, is that there can be quite toxic communities, or they can be very like bitchy, or
The amount of groups that I have joined, especially when going through IVF, I've quit. I've left.
That's what I mean.
Very
Yeah.
negative, very aggy at times, and it just personally for me, just not the vibe that I want to be around. None
Yeah.
of it was very uplifting.
yeah.
So no, I've struggled to find somewhere that I would want to sort of stay permanently. Like Flow was probably the only consistent app that I've used, just because, and even that wasn't actually that spot on for following cycles and things like that.
It's fucking rubbish.
Yeah, no, it was.
But again, that's just how that app was designed. I don't think
It was a bit cardboard cutout. Like,
Yeah.
if you fit in this box and your cycle is this long, which you're assuming everybody's is, which it's not.
No.
Like, it's so individual, and it just isn't. It isn't tailored to everybody.
Yeah. And that's why I got the idea originally to do something for, we got the idea to do something for that community, this community of people who are going through this. I'm gonna give a hats off at the moment, right now, sorry, to Matt Pink. I had Matt Pink on my other podcast, Bear Chat, and he started this app called Dry, which was originated from a Facebook group that he started for people trying to get sober.
Yeah.
And he was talking to us on the podcast about how he built this community out of pure it was just like he saw this need that it wasn't getting met by a group of his friends or people that he knew were out there struggling. And now he's got this app, he's got tens of thousands of people on there because it's needed.
Yeah.
And when I came away from the conversation, I went out of this same studio and I went on my phone and I messaged him straight back. I was like, Matt, that was great. Can we go for a coffee? I've got to ask you something. So I had this idea and I spoke to you about it and you said, oh, this is awesome. Go and speak to Matt. So I went and had a coffee with Matt. Long story short, talked him through this idea of starting this online community, which is Aloomah. And he said, I think it's great. Don't overthink it. Just do it.
Crack on.
Yeah, just crack on. Get the idea down. Start a group. Just go for it. So as I was standing up to leave this conversation, I had like a half an hour coffee. He went one way and there's this lady next to me and she stops me and said, sorry, I wasn't listening to your conversation, but I heard you say the word embryo. Now, I don't know what you're going through, but I just want to say whatever you're going through, I wish you the best of luck. And I ended up sitting talking to her for about 20 minutes, half an hour. I obviously won't name her for obvious reasons, but this lovely lady had been through 4 cycles of egg collection. She was doing it on her own because she hasn't found the other half yet.
Privately.
She was doing it at Harley Street. So not a cheap clinic. We'll get onto the financials in a minute from what we've gone through. But she was telling me how she struggled. She didn't know where to turn. She was even telling me proactively, I've been on all these apps and like trying to find support and it's all just like annoying like people or really like negative people, and I've left all of them. She said, I've tried about 7. I've tried groups, I've tried websites, I've tried like online courses. She's tried everything and she just feels completely isolated. And I was literally sat there.
No friends.
Well, no, the thing with her friends is she didn't want to talk to her friends or her sister because her sister had a miscarriage and her friends had children.
Yeah.
we know this, right?
Yeah.
This is the same situation we've had. We've had a lot of friends have babies who've tried after us, and we've had a loss. So there's this like weird like dilemma where you don't want to talk, you don't want to almost talk to them about it because you feel like
you don't want to like their excitement, and you don't want to bring. And I've had that with my friends. Where, and obviously my friends would never ever say that there was an issue with me talking to them about it. But you just think, my God, we've been going through this for so long. Is it just boring now? Like, I kind of would rather keep it to myself or talk to you, or I don't know, sometimes found it easier to talk to like a stranger about it because I'm like, well, I haven't told this story for the millionth time, or it isn't the same, it's sad news.
Yeah.
So you do kind of feel like a bit of a loss as to who you can turn to.
And again, that being able to speak to someone anonymously, or maybe even speak anonymously, or just say something in a group or community and not feel judged or not feel like you're alone, I think that's really important. And I would have loved, and I think you would have loved, the ability to do that, to speak in a group of people who understand. Yeah. It's really hard to explain to someone what it's like to go through a cycle of IVF and lose that child to someone who doesn't even know what IVF is. It's difficult.
Told you I should have bought some tissues.
I know I was going to say that. Oh yeah, it's difficult because you don't actually understand the process and like how, not just mentally but physically.
Don't forget, you're also pumped full of drugs.
Yeah, the whole time you
pumped full of drugs. I was pumped full of drugs. What the last round we did for 12 weeks, I was taking about 3 injections a day.
Before, then
during and then
after until 12 weeks.
12 weeks.
12 weeks.
Yeah.
The whole process, and when you've been through that, and you've got everyone around you, not everyone around you, there's a lot of people who are going through the same thing as us, but people who are close to you going through their, first pregnancy and everything going, which is, by the way, there's nothing better than hearing that friends going
lots
through.
Of friends had their second pregnancies.
Yeah. As we've gone through 1 or 2 or 3 losses.
Yeah.
It's so hard to explain to someone what that's like.
Being so happy for your friend, but being absolutely devastated for yourself or us together. And it's so conflicting.
It's so conflicting because you obviously want the best for your friends, and I never want anyone I know or anyone to go through what we're going through.
No.
But when you get some good news from a friend, and I think we got news from a friend like the month after we had like a loss, or like even the same month.
We will go into this in more depth.
Yeah.
I mean, when we'll talk about like when some of the messages I've had, like, and there's been many, and I know what the message starts like. Luckily, people are very thoughtful and send you a text, which is always the way to do it, so you're not put on the spot. But it's just that feeling, and you can just feel it in your stomach, and it's just like it's like having your insides ripped out. It's horrible.
And I, like me, being on the other side of the house, and I said that like I've got a fucking wing on the other side of the mansion.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely not. On like in my office, and I can hear you get a text. I know exactly that sound when I'm here. Like I can hear like a shriek.
Or when we've been in the car together several times.
Yeah.
First day of holiday, we found out.
Oh shit! Yeah, I forgot about that.
Literally, we just landed on our like dream holiday. That was just one occasion.
But again, it's so conflicting because you're really happy for them, but you're also you're just sad for you. And that sounds like a very selfish thing to say, but it is selfish. I don't even think there's anything wrong with being a little bit selfish in that regard, because we want it that bad.
When is it going to be our turn?
Yeah.
Just it's long.
It is long. But anyway, we will go into that a bit more detail. But again, coming full circle, the whole point of Aloomah, which will be the online community that we're going to build out for the people who are going through this, exactly what we would have liked. And the whole point of No Straight Lines, the podcast that we're sat on here today, is to talk openly and create space for people who are going through what we've gone through and still going through.
Yeah.
We are in pregnancy, but we know that there's no straight lines. We're very confident, we're very happy that everything's going smoothly, but we've got to keep our feet on the ground. We haven't been here before.
Calm and confident.
Very calm and confident. Yeah, absolutely.
When you have had a long journey, and you have had losses. You do have that. There is that sort of. It's sad because you kind of get that excitement taken away from you because there will always be that underlying worry, like, is everything okay? Is it just going to be ripped away from me again?
Yeah.
And just not being complacent, like enjoying the process and just taking each day as it comes, like not wishing any of it away. You know, we've wanted this for so long, and, you know, it's just like protecting it.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, again, coming again back to Aloomah, I've got some pointers here. I really want to cover these off before we move on. But the purpose of Aloomah is, firstly, the support we wish we'd had. Now, I'm not saying that we didn't have support. We will go into it again throughout this podcast, but we've done all sorts of therapy, counselling,
Research.
We have, do your own research. We have literally done so much. In fact, hats off to you. You have done the most incredible job of finding all these avenues to go down. We did all the Western medicine stuff. We've done Eastern medicine. We have literally...
We've done everything.
We did everything to get to where we are.
Yeah.
But also, it has done us a service in terms of how we live our life now. The way that we get up and we treat our day.
What we eat.
What we eat, what we put in our bodies, what we don't put in our bodies, which we'll also discuss.
Yeah.
The way we prioritise sleep, exercise.
Mindfulness.
All these things, I think, has contributed a little bit.
I do too, absolutely.
A little bit to where we are now. But yeah, support, coming back to that, support that we wish we'd had. The initial idea for Aloomah is to create a community where people can come and feel heard. So that's what we mean by the support we never had. Eleanor, you had all these apps and stuff, which you dipped in and dipped out, you know, for whatever reasons. And I know that a lot of other women do that. I, as a man, struggled a little bit. I did a little bit more counselling. I've done hypnotherapy. I did CBT. I've done all sorts of different types of self-help.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. But I didn't really always feel I could speak to friends.
You didn't speak to any friends?
No.
At all?
Even
your best friend?
Even my best friend who...
Looked at his wife and she got pregnant.
Yeah. Well, we won't mention names, but the thing is, it isn't that he didn't want to. He would have loved me to speak to him.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to speak to him because he was going through his journey with his baby, who was amazing, and I didn't want to put a downer on that. I didn't want to be a burden, and it would have been nice to have some sort of anonymous space where I could just go and just almost like, just like get it off my chest.
Absolutely.
And again, coming back to what we were saying before about if you haven't been through it, you don't understand. If I'm speaking to someone, i.e. best friend, whatever, they don't understand, they've not done it before.
No.
It would have been nice to speak to someone or just open up about this.
Been in the same boat.
Who've been in the same boat. The stuff nobody talks about. You know, I'll let you touch on this. Like, do you think it's a taboo subject, this whole infertility thing?
Absolutely.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. There's so many different areas to it, but, you know, loss, infertility, it's almost like there's a shame around it, something that we shouldn't talk about because it's embarrassing. But actually, it is so common, and that is one thing that I did find in being in some of those groups, but also on certain Instagram pages. Like, it is shocking how many people are going through an infertility journey of some kind. Like, it's really, really scary. But it seems to only be discussed in these sort of private hush groups. I've always been very open with my friends and who I talk to. Like, I'm not ashamed of it. I want it to be talked about more. I just think there's not enough information about it. That's why it's probably not spoken about enough. But also, I don't know, people feel it's a very vulnerable subject to talk about. Like, it's not a nice thing to talk about. No,
as I said before, I didn't speak to my best friend or other friends because I did feel very vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I don't mind. I mean, I kind of talk about this on my other podcast. I do talk about, like, being comfortable, being vulnerable. But this is a very personal thing, especially when you're talking about your sperm. Are you talking about
sex life?
Or your sex life? You know,
lack of,
because again, that's another thing. The pressure of trying for kids for 5 years takes a bit of the shine.
It weighs down.
It does, and that has an effect. The pressure has an effect to the point where sometimes it's like this is fucking not near enough impossible. Like we're both just like so tense, and that's another thing that I think that could make or break with a relationship.
Absolutely.
When sex becomes this monotonous thing you have to do, it's a chore. And it has become that way in a lot of instances through our journey.
Yeah.
We've had to work through that. We've had to work through that with counselling, with each other.
Yeah.
That's a heavy weight on a relationship.
When you literally get a piece of paper from the doctor saying, have intercourse on these days, it's like, oh, great, okay. It's literally written down on a piece of paper for you. It's like the most unsexy thing in the world.
And the window is so small.
Oh, we'll go down that route.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think when we started this journey, like, do you know what I find so laughable? I mean, I went to an all-girls boarding school. I had it drilled into me for years. Do not go near boys. Do not have sex.
Yeah.
You will get pregnant. Like it's just a no-go. So you spend like all your teenage years up until your early 20s, like doing obviously when we first got together, doing everything you can to not get pregnant. And then when it comes to it and it doesn't happen, you're like, well, this is supposed to be really easy. Yeah. And then I had no idea about ovulation and how small that window is. Like it's tiny.
Yeah.
And cycle date lengths change, and there's so many factors. I mean, how anybody gets pregnant is an absolute miracle.
Yeah.
There's just so many variables. But well, that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah, we'll go into that massively in an episode. But I also think, I've just been thinking there while you were talking, when we were given those sex ed classes when we were younger.
At school?
Right? I reckon infertility was a lot lower then. It was still high. But because of all the plastics in our food, in our water, phthalates and all the toxins in our lifestyle, like cancers are way more prominent now than they were. Heart attacks were the big killer like 50, 60 years ago. Now cancers are much more prominent. And I think that's a lot to do with what's in what we put in our bodies, in our environment. But I think that comes full circle. So back then it probably was a little bit easier to get pregnant. Yeah. But now we've got all these other things we're dealing with, environmental issues. Yeah. But again, we're digressing. But coming back to what I was saying. So the stuff nobody talks about, support we wish we had, building a community. I think community is one thing that we need more than anything as human beings. Now, I look back at when I was playing basketball, and I look back at them at like some of the most fond moments memories I've got as a child, because I was with this group of lads who you train together 2 or 3 times a week. You go on a bus and you're silly, and like there's this camaraderie that I think we need as humans. And Johan Hari, Lost Connections, that Pete always talks about that book. As humans, because we've become so connected on the online world, we're more disconnected as humans than ever. And I feel like even though we're going to be using online as a kind of channel for this, community in this instance, we can't all get together in a room, and we might be able to do seminars in the future, but building that online community for people to know they can go somewhere if, say, they've had a really bad day and they've maybe got a pregnancy announcement.
It's a very lonely journey.
It's a very lonely journey. They want to go somewhere to just feel that they're not on their own. That's what we want Aloomah to be. Like, you can come here, you can listen, you can share, you can speak anonymously or non-anonymously. We just want to have that community built for those people, what we wish we had. And we have to say this: we're not fucking experts.
No, absolutely not. We're not doctors.
We're not doctors. We're not giving advice. We are not that. We're not going to be preaching. This is what we did, so that's what you should have done.
This is just our story, and take from it what you will.
Yeah, that's the podcast. This is our story. Take from it what you will. We are going to be also speaking to some guests. We've got some incredible guests lined up. I won't say too much about that, but we're going to be speaking to experts. So experts in this field, whether that's to do with testing, which we found along on journey.
Nutrition.
We've got a nutritionist who's going to be coming on. She's incredible. I won't go down too much of a rabbit hole with that. We've got some incredible guests, but we are going to talk about our anecdotal story from start to finish.
The good, the bad, and the really ugly.
Really ugly, to try and give other people going through this journey some information that might help them. And what I mean by that is, on our journey, I'll wrap this up soon, but on this journey, we've probably spent upwards of 50 grand, maybe more.
Absolutely.
Probably more, I know. Probably more. I know that people have spent more. You might have spent less, but we spent about 50 odd grand. Now, there's some things that we found out in year 3 or 4 which potentially could have saved us a couple of years of grief, maybe some of the losses that we've had, and potentially 20, 30 grand.
Definitely.
So we want to talk about these things openly and honestly. We're being very vulnerable here, talking about this. This is a very personal thing to us. We're talking about this openly on YouTube or Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts, because we think it's important that people know this stuff. But again, we're not experts. We're not giving advice, but we do want you to know that there is some things that you might want to investigate.
Absolutely, because really honestly, we got bugger all from our GP. Like nothing.
No.
We've done every bit of research ourselves.
You've done most of it, I have to say. Yeah, you have.
We had a few free blood tests right at the beginning of our journey, only after we'd been trying for 12 months, because they won't see you until you've been trying for 12 months. And that's it. We've had no help. We weren't eligible for any IVF rounds on the NHS.
Because of our postcode. We'll discuss that in detail as well.
Yeah.
Because I think the postcode lottery is disgusting.
I was considered too old.
And our area was was it the too affluent area or something, which is
just like our particular postcode, their rules, like it was, if you're over 35, you're not eligible. Oh. So everything that we've done, we've paid for privately, which I feel very fortunate.
Yes.
We've been in a position to do so. A lot of people aren't, and that kind of just cuts you off. Like, it's like, right, okay, well, there's no option for you if you can't afford to pay for it. But that will be something we do talk about, is just how restricting this is for some people. Yeah. And it's just not an option. Yeah.
Well, to wrap up, I just want to say that for anyone out there who has listened to any of this and it's resonated, whether it's to do with feeling alone or whether it's to do with just having someone to hear what you've got to say, or anything that we've discussed today, No Straight Lines is here for you to listen to whenever you want. And Aluma will be there for you to come and share if you like, or listen to other people share, feel a part of something and not feel alone. And we will do everything we can on our side to use our story for good, because I think that the amount of pain that we've gone through, beautiful times, but also a lot of pain, we really want to give back.
We do.
I want to use that to give back. So anyway, that's what I'm going to end on. Do you want to say anything before we wrap up?
It's just kind of overwhelming, like sort of talking about it all, unpacking it all again. But I'm excited to see where these conversations go, and I just want to be able to help other people who have been in the same situation as us.
Perfect.
Looking forward to it.
Leave it there.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.